Hello and good morning, everyone. It's Michele Maher here this morning with Marg Hachey. Thank you so much, Marg, for giving me your time to talk about the current environment and the challenging times that we are facing right now from a business perspective and just a mind, body, soul perspective. Thank you, Marg. Let us know a bit about you.
Well, thank you, first of all, Michele. My pleasure to be here with you this morning. And just a little background about me, because we don't want to spend, I've been around a long time, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on me. But I'm a serial entrepreneur, for lack of a better term. I started my first business at the age of 10. But in 1980, I started a technology company in Toronto, which went nationwide. And I had the good fortune of being recognized by Chatelaine magazine and Profit in the top 10 of the top 100 women for 11 years in a row. So very, very proud of that. And also we were named 2 years in a row one of Canada's 50 best private managed companies. It's really an accolade for all of my team because they're the ones that executed our best practices every day. But today, rather than retiring 7 years ago, because I wasn't quite ready to stay home and crochet, I became the managing director of Grow Your Biz for Ontario and Eastern Canada. So I have the distinct pleasure of working with advisory boards of women business owners on a regular basis, which has grown dramatically. So that's really a little bit about my background, Michele.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to speak to you because I know you have so much extensive business knowledge and working with women entrepreneurs for such a long time as well with Grow Your Biz. So I think for all of us, what I found myself is when everything happened, it just happened so quickly. I had actually been at it was the Thursday was the board meeting for Grow Your Biz with Patricia. We all were there talking about, this coronavirus and what's happening and that kind of thing. Nobody thought of the fact that everything was going to change so rapidly that afternoon, which to me started with the NBA suspending the season. Yes. I mean, sports being canceled is just like, that doesn't happen, right?
No, that's pretty devastating, especially for a lot of us who are fans, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I found it to really go downhill after that with the grocery stores and the panic and everything like that. And I knew I didn't want to stay in any fear because that's not a place to be, right? So you do have to process your emotions and go through that. And you're okay. Like it's acceptable to go through it, just don't stay there.
Right.
And so that's why I've started these interviewing everybody because I know so many fabulous people, small business and entrepreneurs. So basically what I'm finding is just the positivity has come back. Initial fear was there, and I think even looking at Facebook, and there's so many people serving each other, so many free online courses and everything like that. How are you feeling about this whole situation now?
Well, I've dealt with crisis a few times in my life.
Yes, of course.
But for many of us, it's really a distressing time. We're currently in a climate of uncertainty. None of us really know how long is this going to take to get over it. I mean, we will come out the other end, but it's really challenging. As you know, Michele, I work with a lot of business owners. And they have passionately nurtured good, solid businesses like yourself. They've planned, they were humming along with good sales, good service, quality services and products. And they've built great relationships with their customers, their suppliers alike. And they've developed their leadership skills. And for most of them, they were experiencing healthy profits at this time. Then along comes a curve in the road.
Right.
It's totally unplanned, totally unexpected. And it really throws us because we've never had to deal with things like this before.
Oh, right, never. This
No,
is so uncertain, and this is global. This is
it
not
is.
just
Yeah.
local, and it's not a physical event like a tornado or a hurricane or
Right.
when we had the ice storm before. This
Yes,
is something so new.
it is definitely. And we're forced to confront challenges we've never had to face before, ever.
Right, never,
No,
never.
no.
When sports has never been canceled, the Olympics being postponed,
Hmm.
you can't travel anywhere. Like
No,
it just
that's right.
everything is
Yes.
just shut
Hmm.
down.
And for a lot of business owners, they're having to lay off staff, something they've probably never done before. We're always busy trying to perfect how we hire and retain and onboard people. We don't think about offboarding them and how we're going to deal with all of that. Um,
True.
we're having to call our landlord and say, guess what? I'm not going to make the rent this month. Or calling our suppliers saying, I'm going to have to hold back on that invoice because I can't pay it. I've got no revenues coming in. Or
Right.
calling our banks. I mean, thank goodness the banks are being extremely supportive, but to let them know. And I highly suggest you reach out to these people, reach out to your customers, reach out to
Yes.
your suppliers. Um, really, really important. Um, what can you do? What choices do we have? Well, I learned a long time ago, we have a choice every day we get up in the morning, and we decide our attitude for the day.
Right.
Many years ago, and I don't know if you've ever seen it, I saw a video called Fish, and it's about the men who work in Pike's Place Fish Market in Seattle. Now, just remember, they get up at the crack of dawn, they're shoveling ice, they're working with smelly, cold fish all day long. I mean, it's not the greatest job in the world, let's be honest.
Right.
But these guys have such a great attitude about their business and about their jobs. Look them up on YouTube. They throw fish around, they interact with clients, they just have so much fun at work. And
Hmm.
after watching that, and it's a few years ago now, I haven't seen it for many, many years, it made me realize that every day when I get up, I have a choice about my
Yeah.
attitude for the day. So
Right.
I think that's really an important message for all of us right now. We get to decide
It
how we,
is.
yeah.
We do. And we have a choice. We have a choice how we want to see this, whether we want to go the avenue of fear and just climb down that hole and never come out and stay in bed all day or whatever.
Right,
Or
right.
do we want to actually look at this as an opportunity? And we have an opportunity at this point to be very creative in our business
We do, we do.
and to also look at how you were living your life,
Mm-hmm.
daily habits you have, things like that. And are you happy with it? Or do you want to make some changes?
Yeah. I strongly suggest a routine or a schedule for all.
Yes.
Getting up at the same time every day and make your bed. There's nothing worse than looking at an unmade bed. Get the shower, do the hair, do the makeup, get dressed. I mean, you don't have to get really dressed up, but at least get dressed. So what
Right.
you do, that alone makes you ready for the day. You really prepare yourself for the day, and then plan your day. And one of the things I've been strongly suggesting too is to get outside and get some fresh air. I know we've had a few rainy days. Get the umbrella and get going, even if you're just walking to get the mail or just taking a quick walk on your street. I think it's so important for us to get out in nature. As you know, Michele, I moved out to Prince
Yes.
Edward County in December. And so the home we have now, I'm finding all sorts of beautiful surprises coming up in my garden. So
Oh,
one side of the back garden is currently full of crocuses,
oh,
and
nice.
the other side is full of white snowdrops. And yesterday I discovered just outside my office window, we have a blue spruce, and there's a mother mourning dove sitting on 2 eggs that I
Oh,
can just look out my window and see. So, getting in touch with nature has been really beneficial for me. And I'm going
yes.
to watch her. Hopefully, I'll see them when they hatch. the babies, you know.
Yeah,
So
you
anyway,
should be
I
able to,
think
yeah.
it's really important, but
That is, for sure.
that's on a personal side, and we can talk a bit more about that after. But on a business side, first and foremost, reach out to your key customers. Find out, you know, how are they doing? How are their families? Show them that you care. Find out, you know, what's happening with them. What do they need? And if you can in any way, help them. So, but this is not a sales call. This is a
Yeah.
touching base. This is, how are you? Here's how I'm doing. You know, is there anything at all I can do to help you? And that's so important. After you've made those calls, I strongly suggest you reach out to your suppliers. And the same thing. And also, if you have strategic alliances in your business or associates, or you're part of an organization, reach out. You know, this is the time when support is so important.
Right.
I always say, Michele, a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. It forces us to be the most innovative and creative.
Yes.
And if I may, I'll just share a story with one of my own experiences. I grew that technology company, and for 20 years, I went from 0 to over 50 million in revenue. And when you become that size, you become a target. So I ended up selling the business to an American company, a large American conglomerate.
Right.
And they were 1.2 billion, publicly traded on NASDAQ. And unfortunately, well, fortunately at first, they asked me to stay on as a regional president. And I thought, well, this is great because I'm not ready to totally retire at this point. So I thought I can keep growing the business using someone else's money.
Right.
Unfortunately, it only took them about 3 years to bankrupt the whole thing. So I was driving to work one June morning. Like, it was one of those beautiful days where the sun is shining and it just feels good to be alive.
Yes.
I'm driving to work, and when I pull into the parking lot, all my staff are outside the building, and I'm like, what the is going on? And turned out Ernst & Young had locked the door because the head office in the US had filed Chapter 11.
Right.
So here we are, and everybody looks to you as the leader to solve this problem. So that's the day you put your big girl panties on and you find out what's going on. I mean, I sent everyone home. I said, just go home. Let me get this all straightened out. Come back tomorrow, regular time. And we did. I spoke to Ernst & Young. We got the doors open, but they sent a security guard because we couldn't remove any assets from the building.
Right.
And we got everybody back to work and kept the business going because they wanted as much value as possible. But I currently at that time had $7 million worth of projects ongoing in just Toronto because we were coast to coast. So I got in my car and I drove to meet the CEOs and the general managers of those companies that we were doing the projects for. And I was very open and very transparent with them. And I said, look, here's what's happened. I'm not going away. I plan to buy back the assets of my old company and keep moving forward. However, it's going to take me some time to do that. So I understand if you can't wait, because I may not be able to get all the products I need to complete your project. So I know if you can't wait and you have to go to one of my competitors, I totally understand. But I don't want to lose you as a customer. And as a result of that, Michele, I didn't lose one client. I did lose a project, just one, but I didn't lose a client. So, you know, these are times where we have to do things differently.
Right.
We have to be innovative. And to be honest with you, I'm truly amazed at how innovative some of the women that I work with are. For example, you know, they've been shifting and pivoting their businesses. For example, you know, one hairdresser is doing video tips on how to find the right hair color at Shoppers, how to trim your own bangs.
Right.
I mean, you know, so many different things. And people will remember her when this is all over. My own hairdresser, which is an Aveda salon, sells, of course, all the products. So she's emailed all of our customers and said, if you're running out of shampoo, conditioner, mousse, convictor, spray, whatever, I will put together packages for you, deliver them to your front step, and if based on how much you buy, you're getting a discount off future services. So, that's smart. She's
Yes.
developing business for later as well as still servicing her customers now. Because even though we're not going to the hairdressers, we're all washing our own hair, we're all trying to blow dry it, curling, the works. We need all those products still.
We do.
Yes.
And we're going to be lining up at the door when it does open again, because we're going to want
definitely
to get something done.
Yes, most definitely. And some of the women that own fashion stores, like they are being amazingly innovative. One I saw in particular, she was doing a fashion show. She was modeling the clothes herself in her store. And showing the different things that are coming out for summer, and the sizes it's available in, telling you how to measure properly for your sizes based on her manufacturers, of course, and how you can order them online. And she did have a sale on last weekend. So people are being so innovative and so creative. It's amazing.
Right.
What's really important that I'm seeing also is, if you have a team or a support group, like a Grow Your Biz, where you have an advisory board, they're getting together using platforms like Zoom to brainstorm.
Yeah, right.
So what can we do? So what I'm strongly suggesting is to think about, what are your clients going to need when this is over? Because we will come out the other end. Right. Now's the time you can start planning. You could start preparing to be ready when it is over. So think about, what are they going to need? I know a couple of people that even are thinking about current needs. A lot of people are working from home.
Yes.
And for office product companies, they're saying the sitting is the new smoking, because we're sitting so much in our business lives today. And so she's been reaching out to large companies to say, are your staff being well looked after while they work for you from home? And she's offering those stand-up desks. Some of them are on hydraulics. The better one, you can either stand or sit.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's so innovative, like reaching out to people when they know there's a need at this time. So I think that's really critical.
Yeah, and that's actually a good point too, because we don't know how long this is going to go for. And when it first happened, and they had shut the schools down for an extra 2 weeks after March break, so that was kind of the thing. April 6th was our day, so we thought it was going to be 3 weeks in total. Now, of course, they've shut the schools for the entire month of April. Right. And then in Toronto, they've canceled every single event up till the end of June, including the Pride Parade, which is huge, right? So we don't know how long it's going to be. So everybody working from home, it's okay if it's a couple weeks, but you're right. Like, and people don't necessarily have the right equipment at home to be sitting. They don't have the ergonomic office chairs that you might have at a corporation. Right. Necessarily. Some people might not. Some people might be sitting on their couch with a laptop, which is definitely
or in bed with their laptop. I've seen that too.
True. Yeah. So that's another thing that for the registered massage therapists and who have had to shut their doors, they can do some kind of videos with the top tips for stretching, and when you're sitting on your couch with your laptop or in your bed with your laptop, getting up, do your stretches.
Exactly. Well, you touch on a very important point, Michele. Self-care at this time is critical.
Oh,
I want everyone out there that is a business owner to realize that you are the biggest asset in your company. So it's critical that you look after yourselves. I heard a gentleman speak, Dr. Greg Wells, a few years ago, and he's written a book called The Ripple Effect, and he talks about sleeping well, eating well, and moving well. And that enables you to think well. And at this time, we need to be thinking well. So he suggests we get at least 7.5 hours of sleep. That's ideal. But you also need to think about, what's my wind down routine in the evening?
Right.
If we keep texting right up until bedtime, then our minds are working so much, it's very hard for us to wind down and go to sleep. So, think about that. He talks about eating well, extra veggies, fruits, limit carbs and sugar, eliminate them altogether if you can. You'll feel so much better. Right. And then he talks about moving, the walking, and they really encourage sweating, because apparently that really helps the brain. And I strongly suggest, being able to think well, we need to reflect, meditate, and also connect. One of the things, one of my grandsons, I have 4 grandchildren, and one of my grandsons was quite concerned about my husband and I, because after all, we are elderly. And he said to his dad, Nanny and Grampy are old. Are they okay? And so my son called me and said, can you set up a Zoom call? Because Zachary's quite concerned about you. And so we set up a Zoom call, and it was fabulous because his sister's home from university. And so we got to see her. They even held the dog up so the dog could see us. So, now the whole family. And Dave's wife, my son's wife, works at Walmart, so she's still working every day. And even though the stores are closing a bit earlier, they're spending all that time disinfecting to try and keep everybody safe. So, but I think this is an important time to be good to you. Really look after yourselves. As I said, connecting with nature has been really helpful for me. I'm an avid reader, so I always have a couple of books on the go all the time. But sometimes I think we get so busy that we need to just take time to breathe.
Right, yes.
Sometimes setting an alarm on the laptop every 30 minutes and just take a few deep breaths and just let yourself relax.
Yes, especially it's very important now to do that with the breathing, because that boosts your immune system and helps you so much more. Does. And we don't do deep breathing. We especially before this, running around.
That's right. So I think ending your day by writing 5 things that you're grateful for is great advice. And I also want you to think about, what was your highlight of the last 24 hours? And also write down 3 things that you've accomplished in the last 24 hours. I mean, in some cases, it may just be that you got out of bed. I mean, think about that. What have I accomplished in the last 24 hours? And find something you do that you really enjoy. I mean, one of the things I really like doing, and I find very relaxing for me personally, is jigsaw puzzles. So I have one on the go now. Mind you, it's not as relaxing as they typically are, because this one is black and white, and it's a sheet of music.
Oh,
so it's a toughie. Anyway, I really suggest avoiding as well binge watching news.
Oh, yes.
The only news I watch the 6 o'clock news. I get all the information I need for the day, and that's it. I don't go on MSN. I don't get all the breaking news reports coming on my phone. I've shut it off. I just watch one news every day, and that's it.
Yeah, you just need to keep updated so that you know what's happening and you know what you are required to do to keep safe.
Right. And, one lesson I learned about stress, Michele, was in my business, we staged events. That was part of the business. Not rock concerts, but corporate events. And the last time the Queen was in Canada, she was coming to Halifax. And, live events can be very stressful when you're putting them on anyway, because, we're building a boardroom. Who cares if you're an hour late? But if the Queen starts at 6 o'clock, you better be ready if you're staging the event. So we're in Halifax. It's an outdoor event, and it's pouring rain.
Oh.
Now, we have all the cables, electronics, everything. Rain and electronics don't mix. I was so stressed because, you know, the bomb sniffing dogs have to come through first. I was so stressed that I think one of my staff members could see it. You know, like I'm pretty cool, calm, and collected, but I was stressed.
Yeah.
I mean, after all, this is the queen. So he said to me, Marg, I just want to share something with you, because working in live events, we learn stress is part of our lives. How much will this bother you a year from today? And it gave me a whole new view on what I was dealing with at that time.
Right.
So it was powerful for me.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. That definitely that is.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know how our time is. I think we're getting close to the timing. I mean, we certainly have other business things we could talk about, but maybe that's a good point to stop. I don't know. You tell me, Michele.
Yeah, no, that's great advice for everybody as well. I just think that before this, what I found is so many things to do, always rushing around, and now we've been given the chance to take a pause, really, to just take a pause, slow down, and look at those things that you really think about what's important to you.
Yes.
Because now we're being really forced to think about just what is essential. Like I was going to the grocery store before. If I was making a recipe and I just was missing one ingredient, I would just run out to the grocery store, no problem. Now it's a whole outing or a whole ordeal. It's not just running to the grocery store. It's something that we're doing once a week instead of, you know, trying to limit as much as possible, because every time you go outside, it's you know, there is that risk, especially for me in Toronto, because, you know, more people, more risk.
Yes,
it's a matter of math.
Yes, this is true. Yes, very true.
So we and with the family, kids being home and everything like that, it's really, we're going back to basics, you know, doing things together as a family, going out in nature. People who didn't have time or wouldn't make the time to go out in nature are now finding that, oh, I really like going for walks and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely been, you know, it's been an interesting time.
It certainly has.
That's for sure. And yeah, like you said, pivoting, and there's so many people out there serving, offering the free webinars and everything like that. So there's a lot of things that everybody can do.
Yes, we built creative. We built a series of 7 webinars at Grow.
Oh yes, and I've been on a couple of them already.
They're not just for members. We've opened them up to the public. Like, they're free to everyone. So, you know, we're trying to do what we can to help, because we recognize it's a challenging time. And hopefully some of the pointers you and I have discussed today are going to be helpful for your audience.
Yes, I think so as well. All right. Well, thank you so much, Marg, for your time.
My pleasure.
Great to get that advice from you. And this is a time to get creative.
Absolutely.
And this is a time, as I heard from another webinar that I was on, this is a time when you will see some billionaires coming out of this, because there's going to be innovation. Everything like this causes people to think differently, which then leads to innovative products. So, and we're all coming together as a community, and that's how we're going to get through this together as a community, spreading love and kindness.
That's right. Anyway, thank you for having me today, Michele. I really appreciate it. And I wish you continued success in your series.
Thank you so much, Marg. And thank you, everybody. And bye for now.